Hello students, welcome to our philosophy damp. This question says, point out the significance of the fivefold differences in dualistic school of Vedanta. In dualistic school of Vedanta. This came in 2020 for 10 marks. Now, as the question clearly says, question is about fivefold difference, that is Pancha-bheda. Pancha-bheda in dualistic school, Dvaitavada of Madhva of Vedanta. So straightforward question. You have to mention Pancha-bheda and its criticism. Simple. Okay. So the question is not about the whole Dvaitavad. You have to only focus on Pancha-bheda. So we have to basically explain what are the kind of Vedas and what is their nature. Okay. Now, obviously, in introduction, you talk about Pancha-bheda. Now, see, you need to understand one thing. Now this structuring will be little different because it's better you specifically mention about those five Vedas, kind of five small subheadings, and then criticism. It is better because then thoroughly you can explain, because that's the main demand of the question. Criticism can have 1 to 2, 3 points. Okay, so you're jumping on Pancha-bheda. Like for example, difference between God and soul, or difference between God and matter, then difference between matter and soul, difference between matter and matter, which is not a very important point, and difference between soul and soul. Okay, like that if you write, then what will happen? You have a lot of space to write details. There is other way of writing is you have a subheading of Pancha-bheda, write whatever 5, 6, 7 points and criticism. That is also okay, absolutely okay, no problem. But question is, because we have to write significance. Okay, there is other way of writing also. First subheading will be Pancha-bheda, then significance, then criticism. That also can be done. So here you just write 2 to 3 points. Here you have to write more points, and then criticism 1 or 2 points. Here you basically just define what Pancha-bheda is, then significance of Pancha-bheda and criticism. What I have thought of this time is straight away jump to these, and in that you write significance. Okay, like that. Like if you first you explain what it is, then its significance, what it is, significance, what it is, significance, what it is, significance, what it is, significance. That is also absolutely okay. If you want to write collectively also, okay, no problem. That is absolutely no much difference. Only thing, this looks little more elaborated. Okay. So now, because we are now in this particular model, because we are starting directly with differences, you talk about Pancha-bheda Bhed. Straightforward. So the fivefold or Pancha-bheda Bhed is the key concept in Madhvacharya's Dvaitavada. Okay, to explain the absolute difference. Okay, this school emphasizes the fundamental distinction between all the entities. Okay, and stand against the or stand as a criticism against the Advaita or non-dualism of Shankara. It's a fierce critique of non-dualism of Shankara. Okay, then these differences. Okay, somebody wants to draw. If you have some other model, you can draw that diagram. If you know, I'll just write here. Okay, God, soul, matter, and soul. Okay, this is all difference. Okay, so if you want to write this way also, this is an additional point. If you want to write five types of difference, because this kind of creates kind of hierarchy also. Okay, so God and soul. So here you talk about Pancha-bheda Veda is central principle of Dvaita philosophy of Madhva, which stands against the absolute non-dualism of Shankara. Okay, in this Pancha-bheda Veda, these differences are of between God, soul, and material world or matter in different combinations. Then first combination, God and soul. So obviously, what does Madhva say? God, that is Brahm, is supreme. Obviously, it's a independent reality, Swatantra. So independent reality, while individual soul is dependent and finite. The soul has limited knowledge, power, and it cannot merge with God. So it maintains the hierarchical difference between soul and God. What is the significance? The significance is this distinction maintains the transcendence of the God, establishes a personal relationship. However, devotee is subordinate to the God. Okay, so first of all, the difference. Again, the main focus is difference. That is, God is above, transcendent, okay, and it is supreme, whereas devotee is dependent, and then only there is bhakti possible. So because of these two different, bhakti is possible. Because when you become one, there is no bhakti of divine possible. So this is significance is, first of all, plurality, hierarchy, and bhakti all got established in the first. One of the most important among this Pancha-bheda Veda is difference between God and soul, because that is exactly where Shankaracharya comes up with something different. Okay, so plurality, hierarchy, and bhakti. This is the significance of the first. Now, second difference, the difference between God and matter. Now, God is a spiritual and infinite thing, whereas matter is inert and subject to change. Matter is under the God's control and remains distinct from him. So matter is distinct, it is under the control of God. So obviously, what is the significance here? Significance is it establishes the creator God. God as creator, designer, and controller. Okay, or for that matter, controller, sustainer, and destroyer. Okay, so it creates creator, sustainer of the material universe and establishing the absolute supremacy of God. Again, hierarchy is there anyway, but it is absolute supremacy of the God. Then comes the difference between matter and soul. Obviously, that is a very obvious kind of difference. Soul are conscious entities and capable of experiencing and interacting with the world and all. Matter is unconscious or jada, basically entities. This distinction emphasizes the soul's superiority. Again, hierarchy between soul and matter. Soul is superior. Soul is superior. and its role in transcending material bondage through devotion. So soul can be devoted, soul can liberate itself, soul is superior, soul is conscious, whereas matter is not all those things. The significance is superiority of the soul, possibility of the bondage, liberation, okay, and matter is the reason for the bondage. So this establishes the whole soteriology, that is bondage, liberation, and supremacy of soul. Then matter and matter. Now, matter and matter, obviously, material objects are different, and they have different qualities than one another. Their functions are different, so no two objects are similar. Basically, here, matter and matter, it is diversity and plurality. Okay. In fact, he takes the help of concept of Vishesha, particularity. That also gets established by this difference. Okay, Vishesha, that is particularity. And last is soul and soul, very important. Now, each jiva is unique in nature. Okay, experiences and destiny also. Some are destined for liberation, some are, so may remain bound in samsara. So, soul and soul difference, you know, two souls are different in their characteristic, their possibility, their destiny, and their capacity, their potential to be liberated is different. Okay, now, point is this rejects, obviously, monistic view, bring in diversity of individuals and hierarchy among individuals, even after liberation. So this clearly creates diversity and hierarchy. Thank you. No, I think hierarchy. Okay. So this affirms the diversity and yes, individuality. Yes, the most important point is individuality. Because one soul is different than other than soul is individual. And obviously, this is also in the reaction. Now, what are the critical comments? You already know. Eternal differences undermines the fundamental unity, which is emphasized by other schools. So, eternal differences, because some differences according to Madhva, eternal difference undermines essential unity. Okay. So, unless there is essential unity, whatever Vedanta or whatever Brahma Sutra or whatever Upanishads are saying is not this, it is going against Upanishad. Basically, this is also one of the criticism. Upanishad says Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, Jivo Brahmeva. So, when Upanishad says Jiva is the only Brahm, why are you bringing so many segregations, basically? Yes. Then another thing is hierarchy among soul is very discouraging for liberation. Basically, he says some are bound to be bound. Even after liberation, there will be hierarchy. So it kind of asserts a kind of ultimate hierarchy, or there is a difference in the status of different individuals that is not backed by anything, or that is going against the overall Vedantic thought. That, you know, even after liberation, some individuals will be here and some individuals will be here. That is very problematic. Another thing is it's very fatalistic view, because destiny is also decided. Fatalistic or deterministic. Because some souls are damned to be bound. So however efforts you put, there is no chance of you coming out. So fatalistic and deterministic. Okay, I think that's enough. If you have any, this thing is all these differences are further very rigid. Okay, again even if differences, point is, even if differences has to be pragmatically seen in phenomenal world, philosophy has to bring in some underlying unity. Otherwise, what's the point in having philosophy? Okay. Conclusion. The fivefold differences articulate the dualism in the fullest sense, emphasizing the eternal plurality, okay, and interdependence of God, soul, and matter, and supports bhakti tradition. Bhakti tradition, it's very ritualistic bhakti tradition. Madhva came up with a lot of ritualistic bhakti tradition. That is, a lot of things for souls to follow, okay, because you cannot become to the kind of uh, master slave relationship between God and bhakta. So bhakta has to be this one that is completely surrendered to God. Okay, so this came up with ritualistic or pragmatic bhakti tradition or bhakti system. Next, what answer Ramanuja gives? What answer Ramanuja gives to the question Veda? To the question Veda. Effect pre-exists in cause. Okay, what answer is he giving? How his answer? Okay, how his answer? How does his answer influence his metaphysics? Influence his metaphysics. Critically discuss, obviously. So you have to somewhere write the criticism of the whole Brahma Parinamavad and all that. Okay, 15 marker. For like introduction, the now question is what answer does he give? Basically, his answer is Brahma Parinamavad. Then influence on metaphysics. Influence on metaphysics. Then critical comments. When they have clearly mentioned critically discuss, you have to write little more points than normal, because that means that also has got a lot of importance in the answer. Okay. So now it is about Ramanuja. It is about Ramanuja. So Ramanuja's Vishishtadvait. Ramanuja's Vishishtadvait. Okay, provides a nuanced answer to the question whether the effect pre-exists in cause, and his response is rooted in his metaphysical framework. Okay, so you can say he certainly answers positively. Okay, for the answer whether effect pre-exists in cause, Ramanuja's answer is certainly positive, which categorize or which agrees to Satkaryavad. Okay, Satkaryavad of Sankhya. So it agrees with Satkaryavad of Sankhya. However, in their further analysis, he gives a different version of Satkaryavad, that is Brahm Parinamvad. So you talk about, you end in Brahma Parinamvad at the end. So that Brahma Parinamvad is his answer. And this Brahma Parinamvad has basically contributed or has impacted or influenced his metaphysics. That's what the question asking. Okay. So you talk about Ramanuja Vishishtadvaitavad, agrees or answering positively, leading to or agreeing him or agrees to the Satkaryavad, agrees to Satkaryavad of Sankhya. However, he comes up with a different version of Satkaryavad in the form of Brahma Parinamvad. Okay. Then you write what is Brahma Parinamvad. Number one, Ramanuja accepts Sankhya doctrine, however, of Parinamvad, that is the Parinamvad, that is world is real transformation. However, he rejects Prakriti Parinamvad and brings in Brahm Parinamvad. Okay, second, according to Brahm Parinamvad, no need to write that, Brahm is the material as well as efficient cause of the world. That is the main thing. Brahm is efficient as well as material cause of the world. And third point is, according to Brahma Parinamvad, the phenomenal world is real transformation and not illusion, as was advocated by Shankara. So this Brahma Parinamvad comes as a response to Brahma Vivartavad of Shankara. So what you can mention here is, this world is real transformation and not Vivart, as maintained by Shankaracharya. That much is enough. We have to immediately shift on the influence. Okay. First point. Now, what is the influence? You know, the influence is very direct. If you have so many points, you can write. Otherwise, let us see. If you have space, I mean, sorry. So, according to Ramanuja, Brahma Parinamvad, influence on metaphysics of Ramanuja. According to Ramanuja, Brahma is obviously both material as well as efficient cause, and universe in effect exists in a subtle, unmanifested form within Brahma before creation. So creation is a manifestation of Brahma. So first and foremost, he says Jagat is a creation or a real transformation of Brahma. Okay, of Brahma. So basically, following Brahma Parinamvad. Second, Maya is not illusion but a creative power of Brahma, through which it creates the Jagat out of itself or himself. So Brahma creates the world. Maya is a creative power of the Brahma. Okay. Now, Ramanuja uses the analogy of the body and the Brahma. That is okay. The universe is transformation of Brahma, and yet Brahma remains unaffected. Okay. So universe is transformation of Brahma, but yet Brahma is remaining unaffected. Now, what is the another thing that happens because of this? According to this Ramanuja's this thing, individual souls are real. Okay, so Jiva and Jagat both are real. Both are real and also inseparable from Brahma. Okay, so this Brahma Parinamvad actually helped him reconcile dualism and unity. Okay, so Jiva are different, real, but inseparable from Brahma. Then third, it gives rise to Saguna Brahm. Okay, Saguna Brahm. And material objects also to be part of Brahm. So what happens? Material objects are not required to be rejected for sake of liberation. Okay, so he can say that material objects are also part of the Brahm. So there is nothing to be rejected. Now, obviously, then Ramanuja's metaphysics supports theistic devotion by maintaining the real existence of both individual and God. This thing. So obviously, propagated theistic devotion in bracket bhakti, because Jiva, Jagat, and Ishwar all are real and are inseparable from Brahm. Okay, all are real but inseparable from Brahm. By this Brahma Parinamvad, it avoids the dualism of Sankhya, and also avoids the explaining away or rejection of Jagat, of Advait. So dualism is also avoided, and explaining away or rejection of Jagat or rejection of plurality, rejection of Jagat and Jeev by Shankara, that also he could avoid. Okay. Obviously, he could also avoid extreme dualism of Madhva also. So because of this Brahma Parinamvad, he could do it. So that's why his philosophy, and because of this Brahma Parinamvad, basically he could reach his philosophy to be qualified monism, that is Vishisht Advaitavad, or qualified non-dualism, Vishisht Advaitavad. So this is the impact of the Brahma Parinamvad that he has on this. Now, but criticality, obviously there are critical issues. Number one, if Brahm grows real transformation, if Brahm undergoes real transformation, then Brahm also gets, okay, Brahm's immutability or Brahm's unchangeability remains questioned. If Jagat and Jeev are part of Brahm, then the modifications faced by Jagat and Jeev are modifications of Brahm, but Brahm cannot be modified. Nirvikara. Okay, it is contradictory. Then Advaita says this plurality, okay, this plurality and diversity can be accepted, but only at empirical level. And not at transcendental level. So what Shankaracharya is saying, basically, I am not rejecting that it is real, but only at the empirical level. Why to confuse it, or why to take it to the transcendental level? So transcendental level, there is only ultimate unity. And another point is, if the world is real transformation of Brahm, then critics question that problem of evil, that is how evil and suffering in the world coexist with the Brahm. So is suffering also part of the Brahm? Evil also part of the Brahm? This answer remains unanswered. Right? So these are the critical points. Then conclusion. Despite this critique, Ramanuja's framework maintains or remains a robust and influential contribution to Indian philosophy, especially for its emphasis on reality of the world and centrality of bhakti. Whenever you talk about Ramanuja, you always bring in bhakti because it was very important aspect. So first is it's very reconciliatory. Second, it kind of re-established the Jagat and Jeev, Jagat and Jeev's reality. Okay, first is it is reconciliatory. It re-established the Jagat and Jeev, and third, it established the centrality of bhakti, which had a profound impact on Indian minds. Bhakti and profound impact on Indian minds. In fact, the whole Ramanuja's effort were to establish bhakti only, right? Because if you see the Shankaracharya's Brahm, there was no possibility of bhakti happening because Shankaracharya himself said there is no Brahm is not object of worship. It is or object of devotion. It is object of knowledge. But Shankaracharya had mentioned that as far as empirical level, you can go ahead with bhakti. He is not denounced bhakti. He is saying at the transcendental level, there is only Brahm. It is like any scientist were saying that as far as practical life is concerned, certainly you can sit on the chair, you can drink the water, or you can consider chair as a solid. But as far as scientific analysis, that level understanding is concerned, 90% of so-called solid thing is actually a space or empty space. The difference, the distance between the size and the proportion between size of the proton and the distance from proton to electron. It's a hugely disproportionate. So size of proton is very small, like this much is proton, then electron is somewhere in the another room with this much size. The rest all is between is empty space. But that is not to be considered for practical life. That's how he formulated. Shankaracharya said, at empirical level, you do whatever you want to do. But at the transcendental, real level, it's not the case. Let us see the next question now. How does Ramanuja refute the doctrine of Maya? How does Ramanuja refute the doctrine of Maya as propounded by Shankara? As propounded by Shankara. Why is Maya needed? Why is Maya needed by both Shankara and Ramanuja to establish their respective doctrines, to establish their doctrines? Discuss. This was 2018 for 15 marks. Okay. Now you know already. First part of the question is refute the doctrine of Maya, that is Saptanupapatti. And then Maya needed, obviously, one as illusion and another is creative power. That's all. That's what the question is. Okay. So you introduce. Okay. Now here only you can better mention what Maya is and objection. So you straight away start with Saptanupapatti. So you have to write the 7 arguments. Then comes why Maya needed. Maya needed for. So this here, what I suggest is you do like this. Shankara doctrine, Ramanuja doctrine. And you can write 3-4 points here. And you can bring in criticism. They have not asked, okay, but just 1 or 2 points, because now both are agreeing to Maya as a creative power or whatever. Just write criticism. Whom would you write? You'll write criticism by either, Charvak and Buddhism. It's a typical normal criticism you can mention. Okay. So here you talk about, so Shankaracharya came up with the concept of Maya to explain or to reconcile the phenomenal world and Brahm's ultimate reality, or monism of Brahm. So basically, Brahm being alone, the monism of Brahm and the plurality of world. How to explain that? He came up with the concept of Maya. So Shankaracharya came with the concept of Maya to reconcile world and Brahm. Maya, according to him, is an illusion creating, or Maya is an illusion because of which the one Brahm appears as manyness of the world. Okay, so Maya is neither real nor unreal. However, Ramanuja categorically criticizes this doctrine of Maya through 7 objections, 7 unique objections, Saptanupapatti, and that's what you can mention here. So that's how you can start up with your introduction. So in introduction, you mention what Maya is, who came up with, and Ramanuja criticizing it. Okay. Now first is Ashraya Anupapatti. Ashraya Anupapatti. Okay. Then Tirodhana Anupapatti. I think you know this. Tirodhana Anupatti. Then Swarupa Anupapatti. Swarupa Anupapatti. Then Pramana Anupapatti. Then Anirvachani Anupapatti. Nivartaka Anupapatti and Nivarte Anupapatti. Okay, this is directly from the notes. One line if you can write. It's a very static data. So Ashraya Anupapatti is, Ramanuja asks, what is the locus of Maya? Because if Maya is in Brahm, then Brahm, it's like a dualism, or Brahm gets the all-powerful and all-pervading nature of the Brahm gets in question. Okay, how can illusion be in knowledge? Tirodhana Anupapatti, Maya conceal. How can Maya conceal Brahm? Because ignorance cannot conceal knowledge. That is, darkness cannot conceal light. Then comes Swarupa Purnati. What is exactly the nature of Maya? Is Maya positive or negative? Ignorance is negative reality. But whether Maya positively there, or Maya is absence of something else. And if absence of something else, then it is not Maya. You have to talk about what is that something of which it is absence. So positive or negative, not very clear. Swarupa Anupapatti, nature. Anirvachani Anupapatti. So it says, to say Maya is indescribable is to describe Maya. Okay, so there is a contradiction, because what Maya is talking about. Because according to him, reality and unreality both are exhaustive and exclusive. You cannot be saying it is real also, unreal also, and you cannot say both real and unreal also. Okay. Then comes Pramana Anupatti. It's very simple, that perception, inference, comparison, testimony, Anupalabdhi, anything, or all the known Pramanas, we have never seen the Maya. So Maya cannot be known through the established Pramanas. Then Nivartaka Anupapatti. That is, Maya's, if Maya is of that kind, then there is no removal of Maya possible. Okay. And Nivarte Anupapatti, there is no remover. Nivartak is remover. Okay. Hatane wala. And Nivarte Anupapatti means there is no possibility of Maya removal. Because if Maya is positive there, then nobody can remove it. And if Nivartak is, if Maya is there in Brahm as a positive entity, nobody can remove the positive entity. Now these are the contradictions, or these are the, criticisms. But still Maya is needed. Okay. Now in Shankara's doctrine, Maya is needed as a central to explaining the appearance of manifold world in the backdrop of non-dualism. Okay, in the backdrop of non-dualism, how would you explain manyness? Through Maya. Okay, it helps to reconcile, Shankaracharya, it helps to reconcile the empirical world and transcendental Brahma. These empirical and transcendental the words should be always there. Then Maya is the reason for bondage. So Maya, doctrine of Maya is used to explain as the reason or the cause for the bondage. Then Maya also tries to explain, tries to bridge the experiential reality of duality and metaphysics that we already seen. So it helps to reconcile the scriptural description of creation and whatever scripture said and whatever they are able to see. Okay, or for that matter, to reconcile Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. These two statements, to reconcile, he needs Maya. Ramanuja, Maya is needed as a creative power because Brahma Parinamvad. So he needs Maya as a creative power because Brahma is a creation, real creation. So apparent diversity of the world is not illusion, but real transformation. That is because of Maya. So to explain the process of real transformation, to establish Jagat and Jeev as real, he needs Maya. Okay. When he rejects Maya as illusion, okay, the concept of dependent reality or the kind of reality or the nature of reality of Jagat is established, then it leads to establish Saguna aspect of Brahma. Okay. So because of material world is established, the Saguna aspect of Brahma is established. Then obviously this concept of Maya, because of its world being real, is helped is required for Ramanuja to establish the importance of bhakti, importance of Saguna bhakti. Okay. And another point is the world is not denied but integrated into nature of Brahma. So there is, to explain aprataka siddhi, inseparability also, he needs Maya. Because Maya is that creative power through which Brahma transforms itself as a material cause and efficient cause into the manyness of the world. Okay. Criticism you can talk about. Charvak says there is nothing like Maya and all. Buddhism says there is no absolute reality like Brahma. And just additional, because they have not asked this, because already a lot of criticism happening and then reconciliation happening. But because both are talking about criticism for this, because both agrees to this concept of Maya, both will say that it is not possible to establish. Then conclusion, the doctrine of Maya highlights the difference between dualism of Shankara and qualified non-dualism of Shankara and qualified non-dualism of Ramanuja. So although Maya is mentioned in the scriptures, both interpreted in different ways so that their respective metaphysics can be established. Okay. So both approaches seek to reconcile the transcendental and empirical, but they do so through fundamentally different metaphysical framework. So both trying to reconcile the transcendental and empirical, Brahm and Jagat, but using the concept of Maya that was present in Upanishads or scriptures, they do it through fundamentally different metaphysical framework. Okay. Let us see the next question. The next question was straight away kind of from the notes. You can just chipka from the notes. Write brief essays. Write brief essays on each of the following. What are those following? Shuddha Advaitavada. Shuddha Advait. Or Shuddha Advait, not Vad. Shuddha Advait. Second is Dvaita Advait. And third is Achintya-bheda Bhed. Now here, obviously, this is also 15 mark. The most important thing is the structure, because I know most of you already have the content because it's directly from the notes, nothing much to be explored. Okay. So what I generally would suggest here is treat them as 5 marks, 5 marks, 5 marks straightforward, separately. Okay. So you can write Shuddha Dvait, then its criticism, then Dvaita Dvait and its criticism, and then third is Achintya Bheda Ved and its criticism and conclusion. That's all. Because it's better, because then you are kind of treating separately. So it helps the evaluator to also give you more marks, because now you segregated it. So even if you get 3 marks, it's a very good score. Even 2.5 was also 7.5 out of 15 is a good score. That means you got at least 125 in one paper, like that. 50% marks, as you know, is good enough score. Not enough, I mean good enough. Then obviously, uske beyond where whatever you 60%, 65% is always very good score then. So how would you start? These 3 philosophies straight away, or Vedanta is one of the important schools, no need to write this general thing. These 3 philosophies, Shuddha Advaita and Dvaita Advaita Chidvaita, are developed as the reaction to Shankara's Advaita Vedanta, especially on the question of identity and difference, Brahm and Jagat. Very clear, Bhed, Abhed. So these 3 part of Vedanta tradition were developed or got emerged as response to non-dualistic Shankara. Okay, on the question of, on the debate of identity and difference, in bracket, Brahm and Jagat. Okay, or God and the world, basically. Okay, straight away come to Shuddha Advaita. Now, Shuddha Advaita, it is, first of all, you have to mention 2-3 points. Okay, given by Vallabhacharya. It is purified or pure monism. Okay, then Avikrit Parinam is, okay, basis its philosophy in Avikrit Parinamvad. Okay, that is Parinam without modifications in Brahm. So Maya as an illusion is not needed. So this illusory Maya, he just wanted to remove. So it removes the criticism of Shankaracharya, tries to remove the criticism of Shankaracharya to make non-dualism or monism pure. Okay. So Avikrit Parinam, that is transformation, but emanation or manifestation, not transformation. So it's not a real transformation, it is not a vivarth, but it is manifestation. You know this, in the notes you can find it. Vivarth, Shankaracharya. Transformation, Ramanujacharya. Neither vivarth nor transformation, it is manifestation. So what happens with manifestation? Example is like sun rays and sun. So sun rays are manifestation of sun, but sun rays cannot change sun. Whatever happens to sun rays have nothing to do with, will not have any impact on sun, but it is manifestation of sun. But it is not exactly the same thing, like what Rama Shankaracharya says. Sun rays and sun are not exactly the same thing. Okay, it flows from, emanates from. So he comes with this Avikrit Parinam concept, and so that to get rid of this criticism of Maya being illusory power that Shankaracharya had to face. Okay. And obviously, this leads to, this also believes in Bhakti tradition. Devotional and inclusive framework. Criticism, obviously, it is overemphasis on Bhakti, emotional aspect, overemphasis or sole emphasis on Bhakti. Okay. then by rejecting Maya, okay, struggles to explain then again is not able to explain the problem of evil. Because if world is manifestation of the real, Brahm, then evil is also manifestation of Brahm. The bad things is also manifestation of Brahm. It's a problem. Okay. And many say that it lacks philosophical and metaphysical rigor. Okay, it's like saying it's a makeshift kind of philosophy. It lacks that rigor, which obviously Shankaracharya has, because his overemphasis on bhakti is not getting into too much into philosophy that way. Dvait or dualistic non-dualism, that is the philosophy that was brought in by Nimbarka. Now again, you can mention it is very similar, okay, quite similar to Vishishta Dvaitavada. Only differences. Vishishta Dvaitavada is like an organic conception. That is, everything is a part of Brahm only. Here, what they are saying is difference and non-difference are always, they are together, they are simultaneous. So in Dvaita Dvaitavad, Brahm is identified with Krishna, that is okay, or Radha Krishna, is supreme reality. And the jivas and the world are real and eternally dependent on Brahm for their existence. So this relationship describes as Bheda Bhed. Okay, so jiva and the universe are distinct from Brahm in their attributes and function. They are inseparably connected to it. Much like waves are distinct yet separable from the ocean. So here the example is waves and sea. Waves and sea. It again emphasizes on devotion, bhakti, path of liberation. Through the devotion and surrender to Krishna, the soul can realize this. So basically, and another thing is, it tries to balance the duality and non-duality. Balancing duality and non-duality by affirming the real distinctions. So basically, whatever distinction that Brahma, soul and world has, it tries to balance both duality and non-duality. Okay, so essential unity, that is there, but the accidental or other peripheral part, there is difference. So essentially it is united, but the characteristic, then nature, it is different. So dualism, non-dualism, both. Criticism. First and foremost, criticism is logically inconsistent. Why? Because difference and non-difference cannot be together simultaneously. That's all. Simple. You cannot have two absolutely contradictory things being conceived together. Okay. Ultimately, although autonomy is given to jiva, and then jiva is also considered to be dependent. So jiva and its potential for liberation. So it undermines because dependent, jiva is dependent, purely dependent, essentially dependent. So jiva is essentially dependent. So if jiva is essentially dependent on Brahma, then whose liberation then? Because then liberation becomes very problematic, or liberation comes in question. And obviously the overemphasis on devotion, identification of Brahm with Krishna and Radha Krishna might alienate practitioners from other devotional traditions. That is practical criticism. Achintya Bheda, okay, that is inconceivability. Basis is the principle of unthinkability or inconceivability. Unthinkability. Achintya. Inconceivable. That is, the difference and non-difference, that is Jagat and Brahm, are inconceivable. That this difference being simultaneously there cannot be basically conceived. Okay. It asserts that Brahm, that is Krishna, is simultaneously distinct from non-distinct and non-distinct from the universal. So distinct and non-distinct together. And why? It is unthinkable. So basically it's saying it is problem of our finite mind to think about. So limitation, sir, limitation of our finite mind to conceive or think about this so-called paradox. Basically, it's like a paradox. Achintya-bheda emphasizes on obviously bhakti yoga, the means of devotion, devotees and all. And this philosophy rooted in devotional mysticism. That's okay. So devotional one point about devotional is enough. Chaitanya's philosophy resolves the paradox of unity and diversity through the concept of, but whether it is possible or not, relationship between Brahman and soul material world cannot be fully grasped by human logic. We already seen this. Next, criticism. So critics argue that calling it inconceivable is not actually giving answer. It's just showing inability to answer. Okay. So invoking achintya, that is inconceivability, to explain the relationship between unity and duality, rather resolves the logical challenge. It might seen as philosophical copped out, or basically not a solution, but expressing inability for any logical solution. It's a criticism. Some say that logical solution inability is what they are talking about through it. Then obviously the devotional thing you already know, because of focusing on Krishna or focusing on too much exclusive focus on bhakti. Also sidelines jnana, karma or Raj Yoga, the other means of liberation. Okay, this discourages the logical or rational analysis, or this discourages people whose emphasis is on logical and rational aspect. So it will not appeal to those who are logically and rationally thinking. Then conclusion. So as we know, all three along with the other schools emerged as a response to abstract and non-relational aspect of, or abstract abstract aspect of Advaita Vedanta, especially is the denial of the world reality and personal devotion. These schools uphold the world's divinity, affirm the soul's individuality, and prioritize living. That's okay. So basically, first thing is response to mystical and kind of dogmatic non-dualism of Advaita or Shankara, and also giving rise to the Bhakti tradition, or giving support to, or giving further extension of Bhakti tradition. So contribution to Bhakti tradition, giving answer to the mystical, dogmatical, this thing, conception of non-dualism, even the answer to the allegation of being Mayavadi, or answer or efforts to replace the Maya as an illusion. So these three schools, number one was a response to dogmatic non-dualism of Shankara, which helped them to explain the relationship between Brahm and Jagat without taking help of concept of Maya. And the most important thing is, and their contribution to Bhakti tradition. These three schools are known for these three things. Okay, or can be credited with these three things. Okay, so thank you very much. See you for the next question.